and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I look like a mess. Yes, I've just found out that a friend has just betrayed me, so here I am. I thought, what better to do? I need a laugh, so we're going to have a little bit of a laugh. We're going to also talk about a little bit about look at Katie Joy's live, and we will be all right. So we're going to have a laugh at the end of it, but yes. I don't mind, when friends aren't honest with you and you've discovered that they've lied to you and haven't been telling you the truth. It can be quite painful. So, yes. Thanks, Bella. Yeah. So there's a few tears shed, but, I'm strong. Particularly when they say don't contact me and then send you a text message and then ring you because you haven't responded to their text. So it's just all fun and games. So anyway, we are fine. We will be fine. We're tough. So anyway, so we're going to look at Katie Joy's live today. So she's become an IT expert and a law expert today, which is really quite scary. Okay. So thank you to Llama Girl for the clips, because we can watch them in little manageable clips. So this is what she is on. This is from her YouTube last live. This is not water she's drinking out of a black straw. So thank you, Llama Girl. Okay, I'm warning you, there's some of this stuff I've only seen some of it. I haven't seen all of it, but let's have a look and see what's going on.
They brought on Josh Duggar's defense, okay? And their expert witness. Now, I want to remind you guys that this is someone who was flown in, and I don't know if you paid attention during pre-trial. She got really annoyed that she couldn't have the computer herself. Yeah, that's right. She wanted the computer herself. She wanted to take evidence.
Look at the smile on the face. Look at that. Now, I thought expert witnesses were able to actually examine the items because they actually had to do their own. I thought they were able to do their own forensic stuff.
That belongs to the DOJ, and she wanted to bring that out of the DOJ. She wanted to take the evidence home and analyze it, okay? Crisscross applesauce and think about someone who doesn't work for the DOJ being like, can you just give me that computer?
Yeah, I'm early. I scheduled it early. I realized playing to Korea, I'd scheduled it early. So, yeah. So she's complaining because the Duggar's forensic expert wasn't happy she couldn't get to look at the computer. But as I said, I thought that they could examine it themselves.
She wanted to take the evidence home and analyze it, okay? Let's crisscross applesauce and think about someone who doesn't work for the DOJ being like, can you just give me that computer? I'm so annoyed. I had to sign a contract to even look at the computer, and then I had to delete my hard drive.
Now, don't forget, this is an expert that she's dissing here. This is an expert she's dissing.
Can't believe it. She was mad. This was part of the pre-trial motions that we all talked about. She was annoyed that she would have to travel there and not take the computer because she had to go there, right? She has a degree in psychology. This is correct.
Thank you, Bella. If only you knew the half of it. Yeah, it was a good screenshot. I need a bit of a laugh, so I'll be trying to get the laugh moments tonight.
Anyway, all of this was laughable. All right. She's gonna go down there. She's gonna take that home. You guys, she's gonna take it home. She's gonna she had to sign a contract, you guys. She was so annoyed that she had to sign a contract that she wasn't gonna take any of that stuff with her. She didn't really get to get into that HP the way that she wanted, and she also couldn't answer a lot of the basic questions.
So don't forget, this is KJ, the IT expert here. I'm fine, totally clueless. I was just saying, I just found out that I'd been lied to by a friend, so I'm okay. I'm okay. I just ripped a big hole in them. I tore strips off them, and that's not something I do a lot. So anyway.
Josh's attorneys want you guys to all ignore that stuff was actually on his computer. Yep. She wants you to ignore that there were files on his computer.
Why does she keep flicking her hair? I think what hurts more is that I've been helping them with a project, and today they told me they wanted me to leave them alone, and then they got upset because I didn't respond to a text message because they told me to leave them alone. So, yeah, apparently. So anyway, that's what's happened. So, and they rang me about just before, and I did speak to them, and that's when I ripped into them. Anyway, she thinks she looks hot.
That the DOJ actually connected to his ISP. They want you to know that they were able to directly download files from Josh's computer. They want you to ignore that evidence was actually found on the computer. They want you to ignore the fact that if he was sitting at the computer and all of the timestamp images of him sitting there with text messages, with that photograph of him looking at the computer, with him literally asking the investigators the moment they got there, is this about somebody downloading CP? Someone who also had a history with these products. These same products were found on his phone. But they want to say, oh, but we didn't find any bad stuff on the phone. We only found it on the work computer. All right. Based on, look at the router. Okay. Let's be clear, you guys. There's nothing interesting about a router. Because you know why? Because we know that they connected to his ISP. We know that they downloaded directly.
Is that better?
Josh's attorneys want you guys to ignore that stuff was actually on his computer. Yep. She wants you to ignore that there were files on his computer. They want you to ignore that the DOJ actually connected to his ISP. They want you to ignore that they were able to directly download files from Josh's computer. They want you to ignore that evidence was actually found on the computer. They want you to ignore the fact that if he was sitting at the computer and all of the timestamped images of him sitting there with text messages, with that photograph of him looking at the computer, with him literally asking the investigators the moment they got there, is this about somebody downloading CP? Someone who also had a history with using these products. These same products were found on his phone. But they want to say, oh, but we didn't find any bad stuff on the phone. We only found it on the work computer. All right. Based on, look at the router. Okay. let's be clear, you guys. There's nothing interesting about a router. Because you know why?
Because she told us so. Can't you do port forwarding? Can't you do it? Because I'm not very good on computer. I don't know any of that.
Because we know that they connected to his ISP. We know that they downloaded directly from his ISP, and we know the content that they downloaded from his computer. We know was found on his computer. So they found the evidence, they found the fragments, they found even whole files and videos on his computer.
Cal, if I wasn't streaming, I'd probably be curled up in a ball. So I'm probably better off doing it. We're gonna laugh later. I've got something funny. Yes, she is enjoying it too much. You are correct. Totally clueless.
So what she's saying about the router is nothing. It means nothing. Because he was live and they connected to him. And it was found on the computer that they have in their evidence. This is why they didn't need to check the router.
Yeah, I'm fine. All right. So 10 minutes into the video, she says, let's start.
Wrong day. The IP. The IP address.
Oops.
Okay. Okay. Let's go. She wants you to ignore the fact that they're focused on the fact that some of these were streamed, except the problem here is the DOJ has factual proof and evidence that at least one of the videos was not streamed and that was watched hard drive as on his computer. So she'll have no explanation for how he watched this download, because if they were remote accessed in, why was he watching it on the computer, right? He would have streamed it. Except there's actual evidence that they watched it on the computer. So...
Hi, Princess Jax.
Okay. They're also going to be obsessed about the route. Okay. So one of the things that I think she got really wrong is the cache issue. The cache.
Okay, so everybody, we're gonna get a lesson on computers now.
The cache, yeah. So she said this, and this is just flat out wrong. Just flat out wrong. She said that they found evidence of thumbnails of previews of movies and images of CSAM, and it was hard for a user to find and view thumbnails on a computer. You guys, she's so dumb. The thumbnails she found.
You know, she's just said that the expert is so dumb. Just get that?
You guys, she's so dumb. The thumbnails she found were those snapshot thumbnails that are in the cache file. And she wants the jury to think that, like, that's what was on his computer. No, that's not what was on his computer. That's the thumbnail of what was downloaded. So it's evidence that it was on the computer. Got it? She's literally...
Okay.
Literally just ignoring everything. Okay. So that was one thing I noticed right off the bat that she got wrong. So I was like, no, the thumbnails were actually in a cache file, and they're actually a photograph that's auto-generated by the computer when something's downloaded and then saved there, so that it's a remnant of what was on the computer. But she wanted to say that because of that, there was no evidence that there was this stuff on the computer, and he probably didn't even watch it because it was only a thumbnail. Yeah. Okay. She also said that there was evidence of 5 torrent files between 522 and 541. She testified to everything that we already knew, and that there wasn't evidence that the two CSAM files, you know, the DD stuff, that he ever downloaded or viewed it. Except there is direct evidence that he did that. Because they actually have evidence that he was downloading it between those times. And they have a thumbnail of him that it was on his computer. So they're trying to say that it wasn't there, even though they literally saw him looking at it when they were checked into his IP.
What's she doing there?
Say that it wasn't there, even though they literally saw him looking at it when they were checked into his IP. And then they found the remnants in that cache file, but she's like, well, I don't think he ever downloaded it or even viewed it. So why is it on his? Why is it in the cache file?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, she's not very smart to testify why it was there and what is in the cache. Exactly. So, okay. Anyways, they're really obsessed with the watching part. Anyways, she also testified that he downloaded a video and then he downloaded it.
Oh, the fox is here. Hello. Here we go. So we've got some more stuff here.
Downloaded something at 11:30, and then at 11:33 it was deleted and added to the computer's trash. The trash folder record had an artifact with the same name of the file, and the index showed it that was added to the trash at 11:33 a.m. She said it was deleted 29 seconds after it streamed. So we only watched 29 seconds of it. And your point? Who deleted it, Michelle? How did it get in the trash if it was remote access? Why was it in the trash, Michelle? Can you explain to me why it was in the trash?
So now she's actually dissing the expert. I think her name was Michelle, wasn't it?
So we only watched 29 seconds of it. And your point? Who deleted it, Michelle? How did it get in the trash if it was remote access? Why was it in the trash, Michelle? Can you explain to me why it was in the trash? I'm going to use expert loosely. Who was deleting it? She's going to get destroyed tomorrow. Okay.
So she's going to get destroyed tomorrow. I'm going to pull up a report that was done from the court, and we'll see how much it matches what she said.
She couldn't rule out remote access. Okay, not being able to ruling out something doesn't actually prove that it happened. You can't prove a negative, right? So just because she can't rule it out doesn't mean it happened. And she said she'd be able to get better clarity with a router, that there's forensic evidence that are connected on the Wi-Fi. You know what I think is really funny, you guys? Why is it that the DOJ expert, who is the director of the DOJ, not just some dude, the director, why is he saying that in any case he's ever been working on, and he's worked on thousands, that a router...
Oops, sorry.
You know what I think is really funny, you guys? Why is it that the DOJ expert, who is the director of the DOJ, not just some dude, the director, why is he saying that in any case he's ever working on, and he's worked on thousands, that a router's never been relevant? Literally, a router's never been relevant. It has no forensic evidence on it, and we know that he was in on that IP because we were downloading from his computer, and then we found it on his computer.
Why is she saying we? Why is she saying we? Sounds like she did it.
Okay. Yeah. Routers don't store evidence like that. You are correct. Okay. So anyways, she talked about the MacBook. And for some reason, she had to point out that it was last accessed on the 12th of 2019.
So she's really going off at the defense here. So the defense's expert, IT expert. Remember, the defense is there to poke holes in what the prosecution have said. So, of course, they're going to have... I mean, she actually will go as far as to say if the woman was any intelligent. If the woman was intelligent, she'd be working for the government. She wouldn't be working for a private place. Yes, she actually says that.
Irrelevant. Completely and utterly irrelevant. He wasn't going to use his MacBook to look at this because Miss Anna also used the MacBook. Yes, blaming the router is like blaming a straw. It was Biden's fault. A router wouldn't be enough because there are multiple devices connected to a router. The fact is that it was found on his computer is more solid evidence. Exactly. So you want to talk about the router, but why was it on his computer? Can you tell me that, Michelle? Can you tell me? Why was it on his computer? Why did they find it in the cache, Michelle? Why was it there? Even if it was remote accessed. I got a question for you. Who allowed the remote access? Someone has to allow and give you access to remote access. So who is on the other side of the computer letting the person remote access? Who did that? Who did that, Michelle? Who pressed it?
Is she annoying anybody else, or is she just annoying me?
The attack of the road. It's like blaming the doorway. Yeah, it is. It's like blaming the doorway.
The fox says, "Give me 2 minutes with your Mac."
You share a name with her. Okay.
See,
she is just trying to make a living, but she's. I feel bad for her. She's probably getting paid for this. She got flown in. She's money very badly spent. Okay. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to point out to you.
So.
Pretty soon, the router's here. Do you think the thumb drive will show up next? I want the thumb drive to show up. Maybe Jim Bob's thumb drive. Maybe Bill Gothard's thumb drive could show up too. Sometimes they all just show up.
The router just paid
okay.
$4.99. It's probably towed on the sock account.
Let's stick to Josh right now. Okay. So the router, right? The router. So I'm trying to over exaggerate how ridiculous this is because you have to ignore everything. You have to ignore the fact that they found the evidence on his computer. You have to ignore the fact that they actually found files, images, and videos on his computer. You have to ignore the fact that there's remnants of this on his computer. You have to ignore the fact that they successfully downloaded a video and images from Josh's IP address, and those same videos and images were found on his computer. you have to ignore all of that, right? And instead, you have to think about the boogeyman thumb drive that doesn't contain anything related to this and the router. I know all the secrets. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm sure the router is not under Gothard's umbrella of authority, and he's akin to witchcraft. And I'm sure the router is harboring elements of fear.
Oh. People watching this.
His countenance is very.
His incontinence.
And he also has his incontinence, or his continence, his countenance is very angry. He wasn't being joyful enough.
His continence, his incontinence.
And he also has his incontinence, or his continence, his countenance is very is angry. He wasn't being joyful enough. Okay. Does anyone else think Michelle might have something to hide? Michelle knows a lot about Tor, and she's booting up Linux partitions. Was Michelle the one that was remote accessing on? Do we need to call Michelle as the boogeyman?
So now she's claiming that the expert is behind it.
Please tell me how they proved that he was on the computer at the time, because no one else was there, Judith. There's a picture of the reflection of him in his hat. They've got photographs of him sitting at the desk, taking photographs of sticky notes while things are downloading that are sitting on the desk. He's wearing that same hat in a selfie later that day. And have you ignored the entirety of this case? You might just need to rewind. I don't know how she qualified as an expert, to be honest. She has her credentials. Okay, it was a joke. Is my humor getting lost on people tonight? First of all, partitions are not normal. I actually talked to a couple techies, and they told me that partitions in the world of this is like, they're pretty outdated. Someone who has a really technical background was telling me that like this kind of technology was super common maybe back in like the early 2000s, but today it's just not something that people generally use on computers. And so it's not really something specifically common.
All right.
The hardest thing for me, you guys, and I'll be honest, and I just want to share this with you, is that this process for me has been challenging. And if I do get points where I feel like I'm irritated or I'm short of patience or whatever, is that this is a hard topic to talk about, right? And then you have to explain technical things that are not easy to explain. But then on top of that, while I'm doing all of this, I'm trying to also understand the ring of people that he was involved in, because that's how this exists. None of this stuff would circulate if there weren't rings of people like Josh that were sharing this information, sharing this content, uploading it with each other, all of that. And so when I started seeing what was on his computer based on what was in based on what was in the court, so I start looking at the players, right, of who made these videos, what happened to them, are the kids safe? Some of the kids are safe. The other kids, I tried to find out on some of them. Unfortunately, you're not going to know. He happened to download one that was very famous and notorious, I guess. And so I can say, yes, the kids that were in this one were rescued, except one was not alive. But as I was trying to get my backstory on that specific video and that person, Peter Scully, I did a Google search. And I did the Google search, and then you know how sometimes when you do a Google search, you can go to the images? And I was specifically looking for an image of, I think, him being arrested or something like that. And I was also looking for the baby, because everyone was like, is the baby okay? So I wanted to know, first off, was there a video that had a baby? Because the DOJ said it was a 3 to 4 month old baby, and the one DD video, it's supposedly an 18-month-old girl. So I wasn't clear if there was a separate video or if that was the video.
Is she admitting to actually going and finding the stuff?
Talking about. So when I Googled that.
Oh, wait, it says trigger warning.
As I'm looking to see, okay, was there...
Trigger warning, KJ did not have to go look at the image at the baby, but she did. She claimed she was looking for info. She claimed she was looking for info, so why look at an image? Also telling people where to find it. Then she describes what she saw. So big trigger warning, people. All right, I apologize in advance. However, if this clip disappears, we need to have it for prosperity, and she might decide that someone might remote access her stuff too.
So when I Googled that, as I'm looking to see, okay, was there a baby, and is that baby safe, I get into Facebook, right? Because there's an image somehow connected to Facebook, and the Philippine press, I'm not even lying, took still images of the video and censored portions of it. And even censored. It's on Facebook. And I can't unsee it now. I can't unsee it. I didn't even want to see it. It was fully censored, right? It's on Facebook. You can't see the person's face. You can't see the other person's face. But you can see that the baby is hanging upside down.
What?
And it's on Facebook. And you can see that the baby's feet are like strapped onto the board. And so I'm like, yes, I did know that you almost reopened it. So there is one of Daisy's face too, completely uncensored. And I'm like, why are these videos, like there's a photograph of Daisy, totally uncensored. There's one of her, like, and it's all on Facebook. And I'm like, who put these out there?
Hello, Peter, how are you? Your Facebook usually does put a warning on it, doesn't it?
You cannot unsee it. Exactly. I couldn't fall asleep last night because all I could see was that poor little girl.
So she's watched it.
And in the United States, she would never even think to take a still picture or something like that and like put it into our
KJ, why did you look at the image and then describe it? You are one sick woman. You say that in the US they would never show it. So why did you look, and why did you have to tell people where to find it?
In the United States, we would never show those. We would never even show, in the United States, we would never even think to take a still picture or something like that and like put it into our reporting. In the United States, there's like journalistic ethics, right? One of them.
Oh, she's going to start talking about journalistic ethics? Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'm going to listen to that again.
It states there is like journalistic ethics, right? And so one of them is to follow UNICEF's rules when it comes to discussing child victims of SA or CSAM.
And she breaches those then, doesn't she?
And one of those things is to not identify them, period, in any way, shape, or form. To not post even blurred photographs up of that person, to not even blur out the image, to just literally not share the image. Because all I kept thinking is, even that blurred out vision photo where you can't even see anything, it's still out there.
What is disturbing? What is disturbing about KJ the most isn't the lies, it's lack of emotion when she talks about this sort of thing. You can see she's trying to mimic the emotions and fails. Yes, I would agree with that. That's the one who complained about some creepy dude at the gym. So what did she do? Posted a photo of herself in her skin tight pants. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's getting super chats.
It's still out there.
Because people are like paying her because she's had to do some tough stuff.
And I'm like, Facebook gets mad at people for having an opinion on politics, but this is on there. And that still image, even though it's blurred out, was still a horrific moment for that child, right? So why would anyone need to see it?
Okay. Well, that's a very good point without a lawyer. Did she report it to Facebook? And why didn't she report it to Facebook? That's what I want to know. Why didn't she report it to Facebook?
None of us need to see this. And I wasn't even looking for that photograph. I was just like looking for information about the story. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so then we've got KJ tells the attorney they're wrong. So now we've had KJ, the IT expert. Now we've got KJ, the lawyer. Oh, and we've had KJ, the journalist.
He made a formal motion in the middle of trial for an acquittal based on lack of evidence. Oh my God. No, that's not uncommon. So post-trial motions like that are not uncommon. So basically
I'd be filing a motion to dismiss based on a YouTube creator spreading mistruths. That's what I'd be filing.
What they can do is, okay, that tells me that he's a... The fact that he did that tells me that I think he's afraid that he's going to be convicted. Because that's typically a motion that's filed after conviction. So the fact that he would even request that before it goes to the jury. I don't think that's standard practice. I know that post-trial they can do those, but in the middle of it, I think that he me look at it. I'll see.
Oh, she's checking. She's got to check.
No motions filed. I mean, they might have like said in there, it's common. I do think that he probably does think that it's going to be convictions, though.
See, look, this is why I've streamed, even though I've had a bad and I've been, and I look a mess and everything, is because you guys all cheer me up. I wish Joe's comments were coming up on the Katie's stream when she was calling her, and she's seen us calling her out. That's funny. So if you've just come in late, I just was discovered that a friend of mine had been really badly lying to me and admitted to using me. So I've been dealing with that. So I've come on as you need to, and the show must go on through. And anyway, but yeah, thank you for everybody for the laugh. Oops.
A lot of anxiety in the chat right now, and I want to start off this live happy. I don't want unhappiness. I'm seeing a lot of unhappiness in my chat, and I just want happiness right now. So please, let's be nice to each other. Let's stick to the facts. Let's take a deep breath, and everyone, stay focused. Stay focused. Stay focused. The expert witness did not do a great job. Stay focused. Stay out of la la land. Stop believing that a router matters. It doesn't matter. Stop thinking someone poked holes. There hasn't even been a cross-examination. The job of the defense is to try to have doubt. Doubt does not mean innocence, nor does it mean any sort of explanation, because they're ignoring all of the evidence, okay? So let's all just take a deep breath. Calm down. Let it go. If she was I wanted to say something here. If this girl was really good at what she did, she would work for the Department of Justice. She would work for Homeland Security. If she was very good at what she did, she would be working.
There you go. She's just saying if she was any good at what she did, she'd be working for Homeland Security. No, you need experts in the private sector too.
Let it go. If she was I wanted to say something here. If this girl was really good at what she did, she would work for the Department of Justice. She would work for Homeland Security. If she was very good at what she did, she would be working with the Department of Homeland Security. The fact is she's not. She's hired, and she's actually gone against the same team in the same court and lost.
So the person that did the screenshot, Trauma RN93, she sped up the voice. Join me.
She would work for the Department of Justice. She would work for Homeland Security. If she was very good at what she did, she would be working with the Department of Homeland Security. The fact is she's not. She's hired, and she's actually gone against the same team in the same court and lost. She's not very good at her job, okay? Just because she said a bunch of things with big words doesn't mean that she said anything at all, okay? That's all.
Apparently she's not very good at her job because Katie Joy said so.
Security. The fact is she's not. She's hired, and she's actually gone against the same team in the same court and lost. She's not very good at her job, okay? She said a bunch of things with big words doesn't mean that she said anything at all, okay? Let's all take a deep breath. If she was good at her job, she would work with the DOJ, okay? Take a deep breath. The router is a non-issue. It doesn't matter. His screening doesn't matter. She can't answer a lot of things, so let's start here. Okay. She lost in her pre-trial motions, you guys. Alright. So, let's talk about how today there was everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. We're all just chilling out. We're all just laughing, having a good time, right? Let's all just take a deep breath. This is highly charged, you guys. Everything is very highly charged. Emotions are running high. We're all feeling all kinds of things right now. We have a lot of feels, right? You need to get upset. You need to see your friends in chat.
I can't do anything about the voice. So sorry. What's she doing? What's she doing? So, yeah, I want happiness in my chat. I'm going to be talking about CP, but I was going to say a lot of people would say that was a better voice, wasn't it? So let me just pull up look, I just Googled. So this is, so we're going to have a look at what a real media. I stopped playing the video. Defense digital forensic expert contradicts DOJ unit director. So now we're going to have a look. So this is from KNWA. So the entirety of Monday's post-lunch testimony in the Josh Duggar trial was spent with the defense examining their own digital forensics expert. Defense attorney Justin Galfin spent hours questioning Arizona-based expert Michelle Bush, trying any avenue that could lead to the slightest bit of discrepancy. The specific circumstances of the installation of a Linux partition on Duggar's HP computer remained a point of contention. With the use of an installer ruled out, Bush narrowed the options down to use of a Linux app store or form of command-line code. She explained that she used a website called archive.org to investigate the state of that store on relevant dates in May 2019. She testified that the uTorrent application wasn't available in that store until the following month. I didn't find any evidence that they could download it in May. It led me to believe everything would have been done by command line. The examination of the witness continued with specific questions about BitTorrent and Tor browsers. Bush clarified that BitTorrent allows users to have files to share little bits and pieces, as opposed to the way entire files are shared on the peer-to-peer sharing software. It's very quick, she said. According to Bush, not all of the downloaded torrent files were actually streamed. Her forensic research indicated that someone entered a URL in order to stream a video, and it potentially went to a different device. This was something that jumped off the page to her because it's so uncommon in similar investigations. After a short recess, Gelfand moved on the topic of remote access. The defense submitted a series of exhibits of evidence, all screenshots taken by Bush during her forensic imaging investigation. She explained that changing ports on a router can be a way to mask your identity, and there are several vulnerabilities involved in doing this. She said, a key point of her testimony was that a user did not need to be physically present to download the illegal files, contradicting previous statements by James Fottrell, the Department of Justice expert witness called last week. She also told the jury that one of the videos downloaded was deleted within 30 seconds. She stated this follows patterns and characteristics of a remote user accessing the computer in a hit and run. Gelfand steered the topic towards torrential downpour, a proprietary software the Little Rock detective used to first detect the illegal activity in question. Bush made it clear that the police software only identifies an IP address, not a specific device. There were logs of repeated failed attempts by police to connect to the IP address in an attempt to download a different file. She also said she couldn't tell if a person was actually at a HP computer at the time of the downloads, contrary to Fottrell's testimony. Additional dual boot systems can be started remotely, she said. I disagree with Fottrell. She said there are probably a couple of ways to do it. I'm only reading this because we saw what Katie Joy was saying happened. And she was saying that the forensic expert didn't know what she was talking about. And I wanted to see what the media reported. So when Geldof inquired about the metadata of a photo recovered from Duggar's personal MacBook Pro computer, the prosecution objected when Bush called the data unreliable in the form that the government used to inspect it. This led to a nearly 15-minute sidebar. After testimony restarted, Bush explained that her investigation encompassed the totality of digital evidence seized in this case. The defense concluded their examination of a witness at 4:48 p.m. in another sorely needed light moment. Judge Bush asked the prosecution's attorneys a question he clearly knew the answer to. whether they plan to take considerably longer than 12 minutes in cross-examination of Bush. After a laugh, William Clayman confirmed that they would. I do your honour. The judge gave the jury their recess instructions and released them 10 minutes early. They are set to return on December 7 at 8:30 when the prosecution will ask their questions of the defence's first witness. Now, that to me is a totally different thing to what we were just told by our favourite YouTuber. Who would you believe? I guess is my next question. Hi, Villanova. So here's the question I've got for you, for those of you that know about computer and stuff. Is it possible could it have been possible that it could have been done remotely? You wouldn't believe KJ if she told you something was on fire. Oh dear. Oh dear. Hello, Big Bedad. Yes, she is. And she had Annabelle Crabb take her defence today. Nicole Flint complained yesterday because in a parliamentary hearing because she took offence to something that was said about somebody else. There's enough. All right, so you're saying the Fox. You're saying that it could be possible. I don't know. I just read what the report said. I missed that. I'm serving. Oh, that's okay. But that report from the local newspaper was the computer would have to be set up in a BIOS to do it. Yeah, I know. So it would have to have. Remember, all the defense has to do is to put in an element of doubt. What would, I mean, here's a really weird out there. Why is Barnaby Joyce in London? Anyway, here's something weird. You know how like sometimes when you need to get repairs on your computer, they ask you for remote access? Look, I think Josh Duggar's guilty and I think he's going to go to jail. But let's just entertain this thought. What if it was somebody from the IT company that actually was accessing it remotely? Hey, I'm just putting it out there. And remember, that's all the defense has to do is come up with something that's going to give some doubt. If they could prove that he'd had a remote IT session with a repairer or something, you've because that would account for it being on there. So yeah, as I said, I don't think. I think he's in trouble, but yeah. So you do remote access? Because it had to have been, even for remote access to occur, it had to have been activated somehow. Well, I thought they would have had to. I thought they would have. Wouldn't they be able to prove? I would have thought they would be. I would have thought they would have brought that up. Well, that's true. I'm totally clueless. I agree. That should have already been brought up. You are correct. Without a lawyer says I do remote access and I'm not even an IT expert. I just work for an IT company. So there you go. So remember, the defence's job is to just put that element of doubt. Oh, really? Jim Browning is interesting one. He uses remote. Wow. Got my store order to be processed, but got a bollocking by the boss next day. Wow. Alrighty. So, as I said, that's all I'm doing. I'm just thinking a different way. How would this remote access work? I'm just trying to think how it would work, but I would have thought they would have already used that. Okay. So apparently, Barnaby Joyce says, whilst currently in London, I've been made aware of the latest comments by the member of Dawson. Accordingly, I have contacted him twice in the night to affirm that any parallel of domestic policy with the abomination with which was the Holocaust requires immediate rebuke. Additionally, I've come to the view that this current platform is at times toxic, dangerous, and incendiary. Who wrote this for you, Barnaby? I've asked Mr. Christensen to be far more aware of any platform he speaks on and to ask himself of the history of those platforms and participation if it's wise. Where's part 3? Whether the subject matter is inflammatory, is it the truth? Does it serve any purpose in Australia or merely provide ammunition for politics for which he's now provided ample? I asked the same question. Someone says, is this really Barnaby Joyce speaking? He sounds far more articulate than I've ever heard him before. That was my comment. I went, is this really Barnaby Joyce? Where do you learn to be so articulate? It must be being in London and learning and having to speak the Queen's English. Oh, no, that's funny. Oh, boy. Oh, somebody says, what would you do if Latham, Christensen, Joyce Dutton, Tim Smith were together in the same room at the same time? Not much at all. Gotta have a brain for that. Oh, see, I told you I love the fact that, I can come on here and laugh. I'm so glad I came and did my stream because I wasn't going to. Oh, boy. So, all right, here is This is a piece of work from an article called "The Shot." I'm assuming I don't know what it's going to be. I just saw it, so I haven't even looked at it. So we're going to defamation, a user's guide: how to tweet and not get sued by a coalition politician. Ever since the Big Potatoes' epic court victory over a penniless refugee advocate who had posted a 6-word tweet about him, Twitter has been not so much the coward's palace, as Scott likes to call it, but the corridor outside the principal's office. Thank you, Play to Create. Everyone is terrified, rightly, that if they say the wrong thing, use the wrong nuance, don't know what nuance means, and employ it incorrectly, or post the picture or a photo of a walnut which looks a lot like Andrew Leming's face, they'll be next in line for judicial birching and a legal bill you'd need a blind trust to afford. Consequently, in my professional role as a lawyer, I've been very busy answering questions like, what if I believe an article of religious faith that all Liberal Party politicians are apologists? Is it true that the legal test for something being defamatory is that it would hurt Peter Van Olsen's feelings? I tried to help by tweeting that it is not defamatory to call Dutton a crepe apologist, but that joke didn't go as viral as I hoped. He didn't even bother sending me a concerns notice. Hurtful. There is a serious side to this. The chilling effect of the defamation onslaught is nearing freezing point. Everyone is scared of being sued or of at least having to get legal advice, which is expensive and industry circuit often wrong. Here are some tips for staying at the right side of the defamation line. Defamation is about the meaning, not the words. You may have heard the word defamatory imputations. When you get sued for defamation, it's the imputations or meanings which your words conveyed that matter, not the literal words themselves. That would mean, for example, if you were to tweet, Minister X is totally not a Russian spy, you would definitely be defaming Mr. X. Although your tweet says the opposite, the meaning your audience would take from it is clear. Sarcasm is not the perfect defense. All you need to know about is defamation, which covers any type of kind of publication, whether in writing or verbal. Slander is the old verbal defamation and liable for written. But they were replaced ages ago by a single definition of defamation, and there's no legal difference. Defamation is a strict liability thing. It does not matter what you intend to convey or why you did it. The only relevant matters are that what you posted and what the imputations it conveyed. Photos, drawings, anything can be defamatory. Really important. Defamation is judged in context. The court looks at the whole publication and considers the context of its publication and who would have seen it to work out what an ordinary, reasonable member of the audience would have understood you to be saying. If you state something as fact, X, R, Y, the only legal defense you can run is truth. If you state an opinion, X has low morals. Make it clear that it is an opinion. Also, the facts on which your opinion is based have to be stated by you or notoriously known. Rule of thumb: if the thing you're alleging is a crime, it's defamatory. Murder, corruption, theft, fraud, cheating at cards, all definition is defamatory. So our favourite YouTuber saying that a forensic expert is not good at her job is defamatory. Likewise, anything would be generally seriously frowned upon, such as someone cheated on their spouse or had, in a restaurant toilet, sent a photograph of their body part to a woman with or without the consent. Sure, truth is a complete defence to a defamation claim. However, you still have to prove it. On the balance of probabilities, the onus of proof is on you. Knowing it and proving it are not the same thing. Everyone was posting it is not a defence. Every time a defamatory statement is published, that's a new course of action. You may be the 18,000th person to tweet that someone whose name I've forgotten did an alleged upskirting, but he can still sue you if you're wrong. But I'm safe if I put alleged in front of everything right. Wrong. The law does distinguish between stating the person did something and stating that they are alleged to have done something. However, it's a really great area. There's a very famous Old English case in which a judge said a man who wants to talk about smoke may have to pick his words very carefully if he wants to exclude the suggestion that there is also a fire. Meaning that if you lay it on too thick, you can easily convey the impression that the allegations you're talking about is true. So it's a minefield and we're all screwed. Not entirely. You can be controversial, opinionated, and sharp-edged without taking on serious legal risk, but it does require care. My main advice, don't assume the bandwagon is a safe place to be, because it's not. Don't give them an easy win. So there's some advice there, okay? So essentially, we know that our favourite YouTuber has been crossing a very thin line. So I'm actually going to end it there because, as I said, it's been really quite. I've had about that. Look, the tears I've got to brighten myself up for work, make myself presentable, but there's nothing wrong. I found this. So with when Gladys was doing all the press conferences, Swollen Pickle did some remixes. Well, Swollen Pickle's done a remix to Anthony Albanese's Buffet. It's called Sit Down Buffet. And we are going to watch this now. So make sure that you follow the Swollen Pickles. Make sure that you follow Llama Girl on Twitter. Make sure you say thank you to Llama Girl for her awesome work, because she often takes one for the team. She sits there and edits it all. I don't know how many people could do that. So here we go. So this is Sit Down Buffet, the Mr. Potato Head mix. Let's enjoy this.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Hang on. Sit down. Hang on.
Take any fruit or vegetable, just stick in eyes, then ears, and then the mouth. They look different every time you make them.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Hang on. Sit down. Hang on.
So there you go. So that's the pickles. So I'll put the link there. So as I said, thank you for joining me. And I will catch you again next time. Hopefully tomorrow. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Right. Thank you. Bye for now.